The group was getting bigger and bigger, and the momentum was not stopping. So the group continued to grow with its huge list of sponsorship deals, which now include Cadbury and Pepsi, which is huge. I don't know about Cadbury, but I know about Pepsi.
Cadbury's huge.
Is that the chocolate?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then go off. Every Easter, I see those commercials. In March 2001, the group had its first controversy, though, with the 3 members getting caught with marijuana, and they got arrested. What a dumb reason to get arrested. But I mean, it was a different time, you know? It's a different time.
I mean, it's still not legal in a lot of places, right?
True.
I think it's also bigger because, they were, for the kids. So, like, it's not great for their image. But, they're a little older, so, it makes sense.
Hey, Oodle Doodle. In April 2001, S Club released Don't Stop Movin'. And this is the first single from their upcoming third album.
Don't stop moving. Can you feel the music? DJ's got us going around, round. Don't stop moving. Find your own way to it. Listen to the music, taking you to places that you've never been before, baby, now.
The song was written by the members of the group along longtime collaborator Simon Ellis. In addition to hitting #1, the song became one of the biggest selling singles in the UK that year and also received a Brit Award for the Best British Single in 2002. Yeah.
I love Don't Stop Movin'. I think I would say it's my favorite S Club track overall.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely a bit more mature now, for sure. A little just slightly cooler. Like, it's just not as cheesy. It's, it's dancey, it's funky. Bradley sounds awesome on the lead.
He makes it cool for me.
Yeah, and his dynamic with Joe's voice as well. Like, their tones work really well together.
Yeah.
So I do love that. It's got a great bass line. I also do love the vocoder as well.
Don't stop while I do that funky beat.
That's right. They do also look like adults in the video as well, which I appreciate.
It's tough being a pop star, especially when your audience was young, and then you need to, you're growing up and you're already grown, and you have to teeter that line where it's looking your age with not being too, because you don't want to alienate them, and then of course losing money, but you don't want to alienate those fans. You have to wait for them to grow up to understand, or you can just be cool kids like you and I were and just like the song, because it's good. But I get it. Parents don't want to have their kids listening to some raunchy mess like they have now. But yeah, I think Bradley leading the song is a good choice, only because Joe is so vocally prominent that it's good to have a different voice where it's who's that? So it kind of, in a way, in my mind, creates a curiosity that might have not originally been there if you were a newer listener. Or even if you were an old listener, it's wow, I didn't know he could sing like that. Galvanize interest, So I think it's really, really cool. And I can totally see why you're so into disco now. The stuff was everywhere in the pop that you consumed. I can totally love it.
Yes,
I
that's
get
right.
why you like it so much.
Yes. This sound has very much been a resurgence. Dua Lipa could release a cover of Don't Stop Moving. It'd probably be a huge hit.
Oh my God, which would be bananas in pajamas. If I was any of them, I would sit there and be like, wow, we were ahead of the curve, y'all, just now. I'd have been pissed.
Also, I will say with Bradley, he is also their best live vocalist. By a mile. By a mile. I did watch the clips of the S Club Party Tour and the later tours as well. And he's definitely the most consistent. But yes, speaking of, following the S Club Party Tour that started in May 2001, the group quickly flew to the US to film their third series, Hollywood 7. So most notably, they made sure to include a nod to the real-life relationship that was brewing between members Hannah and Paul, who had begun dating that year. So surprisingly, Paul would actually later reveal many years later that the relationship had actually kind of been forced by management due to the relationship being written into the show before they actually got together. But they did go on to date for many years, and they actually got back together and broke up a couple times over the next 20-odd years. Yeah.
Tumultuous. Sorry, guys. Hollywood 7 would begin airing in September 2001 alongside the new reality TV show S Club Search, which would eventually go on to found the group S Club Juniors, which we would love to talk about. So let us know if you'd like a Pop 101 series about that.
Yes, for sure.
You know what, man? PR dating is rough. Like, what if it didn't work out? What if it like you're risking a dynamic for like a Rachel and Ross moment? Are you kidding me? I would be so annoyed. Like, yeah, it worked out, and like, yeah, they kind of got outed on a TV show. She's like, "Are you guys dating?" They're like, "Yep." She goes, "Oh, okay." It's like, good for them for handling it well, but like, literally, a Rachel Ross moment just for publicity is not worth it.
Like, yeah, it's so interesting because I do remember just like from reading Smash Hits and everything at the time, you know, when it was revealed that they were together, and of course, in their interviews and stuff, they were like, "Yeah, like our chemistry has just been like growing like these past few years or whatever." So it's kind of crazy that the whole thing was kind of forced on them. And even watching like the old performances back and stuff, even from the years before they were together, they were often paired like in a lot of like the couple dances and stuff in the shows or the performances. So that's very interesting that I guess Simon just like wanted them together.
I like the way you look. I like the chemistry.
Yeah, but you know, at least it did work for the most part. Like, you know, they did date for quite a while. I think the first round of their relationship was like a good 5-ish or even more years. It got more tumultuous kind of after the group kind of was active, I think. So yeah, I am glad it did work out for them overall. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that the whole thing was kind of forced.
Yeah, I would have been so stressed. Like, you're all up in my business. If it doesn't work out, the group's chemistry's effed up. No, boy. And oh my gosh, S Club Juniors, wasn't Rochelle from the Saturdays in that group?
And Frankie,
which is, we are still dying to talk about that group. We've been like planning. We haven't had a chance to do it yet. But let us know in the comments if you want us to do a Saturday's album review.
Oh my gosh.
Pop 101.
Yes.
And if you want priority, be sure to join us on Patreon, because our producers and our CCTV crew on there get top choice, and they actually kind of just help us decide what's going on our schedule. So hop on that. But yeah, I don't recall watching S Club Juniors. Do you?
No, I had never seen the series.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if it's available anywhere. If we do a Juniors episode, we should definitely try and find it. I just remember, again, just from reading like Smash Hits and kind of all the magazines at the time, I was so jealous of these kids when they were announced, because I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be a kid pop star.
Right.
And their first song was really good. So I was
it was.
I like didn't like them due to spite, you know, at the time. And then of course there was American Juniors as well, who actually had a lot of the same songs. Like they have One Step Closer too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And American Juniors had, you know, like Lucy Hale and
oh wow.
I think there are a couple other people that eventually did other things as well. But anyway, yeah, that whole thing, it's very Pussycat Dolls, like what Robin Anton was trying to do. Like, you know, it's like S Club's clearly getting older. We got to keep the brand going. So let's create an offshoot. You know, let's get the juniors going.
Not the spinoffs.
And actually, the juniors actually had kind of a really interesting career as well. So they have some decent material.
Look at it. He's trying to make you guys say yes. Drop it in the comments, y'all. Give Chris what he wants.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But prior to the release of the third album, Sunshine, in November, S Club 7 released the official Children in Need single for the second consecutive year, this time with the ballad, Have You Ever? And the song again hit number 1.
Have you ever loved and lost somebody? Wish there was a chance to say I'm sorry. Can't you see? That's the way I feel about you and me, baby. Have you ever felt your heart was breaking? Looking down the road you should be taking. I should know, 'cause I loved and lost the day I let you go.
And the album Sunshine peaked at number 3 in the UK albums chart and featured the group exploring an even more mature sound compared to the last album. So they are growing up for sure.
Yes.
Yes. So I guess with Have You Ever, what do you think of that before we get into the album?
I love that song. I love that song too. I don't know. Why do I know this song? I'm not saying it's like always because, maybe it is because of the show. But I remember just liking it. It's just a good song. I wonder what's the thought process behind like just writing a song and like, do you know it's going to be a hit, or do you like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, some of the B-sides are like, okay. And then some of the singles are like, obvious. awesomeness. You know what I'm saying? It's a little weird, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, it's just, I liked it. I remember liking it a lot. And the videos, God, I hate it. I hate the video so much. But
do you?
The green screen? Absolutely. What was that?
You're not a fan of the Ennis house? The famous Ennis house in Hollywood?
The house is gorgeous, but all that superimposed, like, because they probably couldn't get access to the property for longer than a couple of hours, was weird. I hated the video. It's so weird.
Yeah, I will say How You Ever is a good pop ballad, but it does feel like they were just like, we had so much success with Never Had a Dream Come True. We just need like a literal part 2.
You know what?
Because it's very, very similar, I would say.
Yeah, it is.
And again, Jo sounds great, and she emotes really well on this one, I would say. But yeah, I think it's just hard to compare, or I guess hard not to compare.
Hard not to, yes. I agree.
Never Had a Dream Come True, but it is good, and it does stand on its own as a good pop ballad, I would say.
No, I get what you're saying, though. It's kind of just like, what I didn't realize that Dream Come True is about, Have You Ever is like, no, this is what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so that's why I'm like,
literally,
okay.
Yeah. You're right. But yeah, Sunshine album. I would say this is actually my favorite album of theirs after kind of hammering all 4 these past few weeks. I think this time the album tracks actually are quite good. They do stand out amongst the singles as well. And I think each member kind of gets their own little moment this time as well, which I appreciate, right?
Which is
like,
nice, yeah.
And they're good.
Yeah.
Like, I think John's track Sunshine is awesome. I would say one of my top S Club album tracks. Paul's song Good Times is really good, and he has a very interesting tone compared to everyone else.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I
definitely more rock influenced.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just a really nice addition to the discography. Hannah's track, actually, Dance, 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 is actually very fun.
Good for you, Hannah.
As well, yeah. So I appreciate this album. I think it's pretty strong. What do you think?
You know, it has some interesting tracks on it, and I was thinking, oh God, Sunshine, oh Lord, like, oh, why is it the title? But in their defense, it's just the title of the album. Like, the album didn't sound like sparkly and bright, you know, which I appreciate. I think Show Me Your Colors was really like interesting because it was confrontational. I was like, yeah, getting his butt about possibly like not making you his girlfriend, you know, like the whole like, what are we conversation? Like, ooh, I mean, don't get me wrong, high schoolers and teenagers have that conversation too, but it was something that was different for them. I think track listing like Way Like You was, it felt a little pick me, but I appreciate the whole like, you never had nobody like me, a crazy lover like me. And I was like, ooh, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you had some other songs like Sunshine that actually did kind of go back to what they were doing, which is not alienating, which prevents alienation of the core audience.
Yes.
So I appreciate things like that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we said the last album was what, like max 13, 14. So I would say this one's getting into, 16. Yeah. Or maybe 16 to 18. Maybe. Yeah.
Still in high school, but we're growing.
Still in high school. Yeah.
We're growing.
Yes. So in January 2002, the group embarked on their second arena tour, the Carnival Tour. And then they quickly released their third single from the album, the theme song for Hollywood 7, You. And it hit number 2 in the UK singles chart. And the group actually later revealed that they were not supportive of the song being chosen as a single, as it felt reductive and didn't match the more mature sound that they were going for with the rest of the material on the album.
Like what I said earlier, it's like, how do you toe that line? Obviously, but I can see both sides. Like creatively, it's like, come on, let's do it. But business wise, I can understand why they want to copy and paste. But it's annoying because I'm like, at this point, it's like, I understand from a business standpoint, but like, dude, maybe instead of worrying about like releasing a bad song, how about you just write a damn good song, like undeniably good song that is a little bit more mature and can present a different color to the group. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
At this point, playing it safe just feels like you're being lazy. It doesn't feel like, oh, this makes sense. No, it doesn't. You just don't want to try to write a better song and possibly risk it not being good. But why write a song that's not good? I think
do you not like you?
No, I'm not saying it's not good. It's one of those things where it's like, it's easy to do you. It's one of those little dancey kind of thing. It's a love song. There's nothing that's really showing that we've grown except the fact that it's a different production. And it's just not fair to them, because I can imagine, like, as artists, you would want to expand a little bit. And the song doesn't allow for that. And again, it's one of those things where I feel like instead of worrying about it not working out, why not just write a song that's like mature and undeniably good? And because even me as a songwriter, I'm like, this is not my best work. It's all right. It does what it needs to do.
Yeah.
You know?
I would say it's interesting because, like, Don't Stop Movin' turned me into a bit more of a fan, right? And for other people like me that maybe heard, Never Had a Dream and Don't Stop Movin' and then Have You Ever, and then kind of got into them with this kind of more mature sound, then them going back to you. And if I didn't like, Bring It All Back and Tune a Million and all those stuff at the time, I would have been like, nah. I would have been, my fandom would have been back to, would have gone down a bit. So that's very interesting, right? Because then there might be the opposite of where there are fans who are like, oh, I miss like the kind of like cheesy Motown thing that they were doing. So yeah, it is an interesting line to toe.
But Motown isn't just cheesy, and that's what kills me. Like,
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Like
But yeah, I actually don't mind you, like, as a track, like not like taking all of this context out of the way. Like, I actually think it's actually a decent track. I think the melody is good. The shared vocals are great. The shared lead vocals. And I will say the music video maybe actually is the best part of it.
Yes.
It's so good. Like the whole 50s thing, and has a fun little story. The little acting is very fun.
I enjoyed that.
I would say it's one of their best music videos for sure.
It is. They were on the beach finally.
Yeah, right. And there was a full ass concept. It's a full concept.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we love that for them.
Yeah, I did see in my research that this music video was actually filmed before Have You Ever, because this was supposed to be the second single before they got the Children in Need opportunity. So just an interesting note. So I did also watch the Carnival 2002 tour recently on YouTube as well. Super entertaining. Like, I will say they were very good performers.
Yeah, I think because maybe their movements were a little bit more like, they feel like street jazz. A lot of their moves were like that. It wasn't like these like abstract-y kind of, they were really engaging. I was watching and I was like, holy crap, this is really good.
Yeah, and then they all got their little solo moments with those songs on the album as well, and they all sounded pretty good on those, the ones that sang live. Shout out to Simon Ellis. The arrangements are really good. It's so funny because I know his Spice Girls arrangements so well, like from the first couple tours, and I can hear similar elements like in the transitions and stuff, like just in his choices that he made. I'm like, oh, you can like actually tell that it's like him.
That's so cute.
It's very
He's
interesting.
like, I'm a fan.
So yeah, shout out to Simon Ellis. The arrangements on this tour were really good. But yeah, I was quite impressed because I had never actually watched a full concert of theirs.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. With S Club 7's recording contracts reaching the end of their term and growing frustration with the insane schedules and disagreements with management, Paul decided to leave the group. After filming a few episodes of the brand new television series, Viva S Club, I gotta say with the accent, they filmed in Barcelona. Paul had his final performance at the time with the group at Party at the Palace, an iconic concert which was part of Queen Elizabeth II's Golden Jubilee celebrations. And with the rest of the members renewing their contract, they removed the number from their group name, now just known as S Club.
So,
easy.
Paul leaving. I do remember all the reports at the time.
Yeah.
I remember it's interesting because, they had done such a good job being the super happy group all the time with the perfect chemistry. And, he had the relationship with Hannah as well. So it's just interesting, like, when he chose to leave, I think that really hurt their image in terms, for the public and for the fans, because it, was such a huge crack in this, like, really good brand that they had built for themselves, an image that they had built. But, good for him for knowing what was right for him. Yeah, I'm sure he felt a lot of pressure at the time to stay.
Yeah,
but,
totally.
If you're not really making much money, and the music isn't really what you want to do either.
True.
You know,
that makes
and
sense.
it's a grueling schedule, and management doesn't even listen to your requests and things. You know,
Life is too long to suffer through someone's BS, so I don't blame you. You know what I'm saying? Like after a while, it's like, how many more years it is? Oh, I don't blame him. Life's too long for that. I don't remember.
No, life is too short for that.
Nah, that's way too long to sit there and suffer through the days, the weeks and months and years of that bull crap. It stinks for that. I can only imagine what that stress was like. It's rough. It's definitely rough. But one thing about him leaving is that because he wasn't like a Joe or a Bradley, I don't think it was as like sonically as much as it was optically, which is crazy because like with Claire and H leaving Steps, it was like, well, there goes your whole, there goes the show.
The show, the group's over.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, sorry guys, love you Steps, love you so much, but it's just one of those things where it's like, damn, okay, bye. And I'm pretty sure that's what Simon was thinking. Otherwise, he would replace him.
Mm-hmm.
But why replace him? He's a cog, you know. And it's unfortunate, but you know, you're your product. Nobody wants to hear it as a fan. But a lot of business-minded people are like, you're a product. What can you do? What's your input? Here's the output. Okay, how much am I getting paid, and how much can I trickle down to you? Very, if anything. But you know, jumping ahead a bit, I feel like the money situation is crazy. Like back in the day was really rough. Like from the east to the west, there's so many artists complaining about lack of pay and such. And I can only imagine like how hard his life was afterwards. Because like you started out with this one brand, and back then typecasting was so bad, right? Like I feel like it was worse than it is now. People are still kind of like ignorant, but I feel like back then it was like, oh, you're part of that group, forever part of that group, you know. And I remember watching an interview of him with Loose Women in the UK, and he talked about like how much money he didn't have, and I was like, oh my god, this is so stressful. Like all these acts from the 90s had such crappy contracts. Like they really worked so hard, and it looked like they were having fun, but like there's only so long that the sunshine lasts, pun intended. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Also, I do want to shout out the Jubilee performance because I do have that DVD actually.
Really?
It's just that performance is really funny because there's a whole orchestra in the back just sitting there just staring at them as they jump around to Don't Stop Movin'. Because it was interesting because a lot of the other acts were doing like old covers, you know, because obviously, you know, it's the Queen celebration. So, you know, I think, you know, they wanted to appeal to kind of the general public. So Atomic Kitten sang, you know, like Dancing in the Street, and the chorus sang like a Beatles cover, you know, like it was like, and then now you have S Club getting to sing their own song. So that was a cool opportunity for them.
Anywho, doodle. In November 2002, S Club released their first single without Paul, the dance track Alive. And the song reached number 5 on the UK singles chart and was quickly followed by the release of the album Seeing Double, which unfortunately only hit number 17 in the UK's album chart.
And to make matters worse, member Jo, who, as we have noted, sang most of the lead vocals for the group, announced that she had developed a back condition that left her in a wheelchair, meaning she couldn't take part in any of the promotional appearances. Yeah, so Paul was obviously just the first crack. So it's very interesting because the downfall was so quick after that. Because I will say Alive is actually a decent track. It's not the best track, but it's a natural next step, part 2 from Don't Stop Movin'. Like it has that kind of more mature disco kind of thing going for it.
Mature disco.
I will say it doesn't really have much that Don't Stop Movin' doesn't have. Like you get that vocoder again. You know, like it's a club video again.
Yeah,
like it's
derivative.
Just, very just kind of like more of the same. The harmonies of the bridge are nice, I would say. But yeah, what do you think of Live?
It's all right. Doesn't need to know.
Yeah.
No offense, but it's going back to what I said. After a while, it's like, why are we not taking risks? And also, maybe the songs are recorded at a certain time. They're just kind of releasing. Because I know a lot of like groups do that. There's a lot of demos I don't make it out the vault, and they're like, hey, this fits on the album. Let's not throw it on. But I think they could have took a little bit more risk. Again, like the sound was changing around that time, you know? Like it's okay to throw a little bit of R&B in there. Throw a little bit of, I'm not saying you have to rap or anything. Because R&B and pop was still kind of like coming up a lot. Like I know AM to PM was kind of also really hot around the time, and Ali is More Than a Woman was hot at the time, and I Gotta Get Through This. There's so many things happening. Like, why are we not tapping into this?
I mean, I would say with the album that they did take on more sonic risk. I would guess from business perspective, Paul left, so they were already scared, if any fans abandoned them. So they were like, let's be super safe with the first single from the new album. That would probably be my guess with the logic of it. But I agree with you.
Yeah. But the song is not bad. I'll say that. Yeah. It was not bad.
Right. What do you think of the album?
The album was interesting. I feel like it was not terrible. Like it had like this Kylie-esque, hey kitty kitty. So that was interesting because the harpsichord. Either way, it sounded like Shakespeare. Shakespeare, who did like Pink's songs, TLC. It sounded the Secret Love song with John. No, Secret Love was the harpsichord
Tina,
song.
right? That's Tina.
It's Tina, yes. And then John was leading Too Deep.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is nice. There's potential there. But for me, I feel like the cohesion was starting to like, it wasn't as tight as it was before. And I feel like they didn't really have a sound that identified them. Like it was S Club with this album.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the experimentation of it. I think after the last 3 albums that were so cohesive, like I actually appreciate that they kind of did, experiment a little bit more. I actually think as an album, like the songs themselves, it's actually pretty good. Like it's too bad that it didn't do very well. I actually don't remember it not doing well like that at the time. I think there are decent standouts like Who Do You Think You Are, like Into Deep, like Bittersweet. They did also promote that song Dance from the album as well. And that's also a decent track as well. But it was interesting because all the promo is obviously just 5 of them without Joe, which is very interesting. Like, can you imagine Joe so young and she now has this like debilitating back condition, and like the clips of Seeing Double are so awkward with her like kind of taking part and then just like disappearing for all the performances and stuff. Like it's a bit odd. It's kind of sad to see. And I do wonder like if people saw the only the 5 of them doing all the promo and stuff and were immediately turned off by that as well. And maybe that led to the album also not doing as well. Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a shame. Oof, it's such a shame. But yes, earlier in the year, the group had filmed their first feature film, also titled Seeing Double, which was released in April 2003. Unlike their TV series, the plot delved into fantasy with an evil scientist cloning the group. In the same month, the tabloids started reporting that while Simon Fuller and his companies were making millions from the group, the members were seeing very little of that.
And following the release of the mildly successful film, the group embarked on their S Club United tour alongside the S Club Juniors. And in April 2003, during their concert in London, S Club confirmed the growing rumors and announced that they would be splitting. Dang, this is a really quick downfall, honestly, looking at these dates.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. So speaking of the film, you did watch some of the clips that are on YouTube. What did you think?
It's such a goober movie. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it fits for children, but as they're getting older, you can tell that they don't believe in this crap, and it's so hard to watch. They did as well as they could for the time. I mean, after 4 years together too, and I don't blame them for like being okay. Like the process had run its course, and this also is kind of like a side-eyed assignment because it's like you can plan for all the success, but why are you not planning to make them happy? Why are you not planning for longevity instead of like this flash in the pan situation that's going to cost you more in the long run? But hey, what do I know? I'm just a podcaster in my mother's basement. But my point is, why not plan for long-term success? You know? I don't wish that movie upon anyone in terms of like if you were an act and someone was like, here's a movie opportunity. I don't wish that upon anyone because like the whole goofy, like we got clone thing, it just, it doesn't help either. No one will take you seriously, especially if you're trying to be taken as a serious group. you know?
Yeah, I think what was interesting is obviously, Simon helped with the Spice Girls movie.
Yeah.
But I think what made the Spice Girls movie so fun was that they were making fun of themselves, and the whole thing was like a parody.
Yeah.
This
was not.
Like, it just felt like a bad movie. And at no point in the clips that I saw of it did it feel like they knew that it was very silly. And I think that was what was missing from it. I would love to watch the whole thing, though. So if anyone has a full link, please send it to us. And then going into the reports of, all the monetary stuff. You mentioned it a little bit earlier because, yes, the members have come out and kind of more publicly spoken about it since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, this was very common back in the day, like especially with the artists that were under the license deals. So that's where you're not signed directly to a label, right? You're signed to a company that then signs to the label kind of on your behalf. That's when you really don't see anything, because they really were just kind of giving their face away for free. So they weren't seeing any of the sponsorship money. They weren't seeing any of all of that work that they put into it. And it just shows again, the music business is just terrible. Like, these people just took full advantage of these young kids and just milked them for everything, and then just kind of threw them away.
It sucks. Like, there's nothing I could say about it. It really does suck. And it's a lot of work to do, and it's evil.
Yeah.
It's just super evil. There's no other word for it. It's just effed up for sure.
Yeah. It is good that they could just kind of feel the momentum screeching to a halt, and they were like, okay, we need to end this. Like, I think that was definitely the right move to make. Like, clearly the demand was dying, but, they kind of were like, okay, let's quit while we're ahead. Yeah.
They pulled their own plug.
Yeah. And then Simon still had S Club Juniors to then push, because then S Club Juniors became S Club 8,
Oh, he is so tacky. Oh, my gosh. Oh, honey. Oh, my God. Well, in May 2003, the group released their final single at the time, the double A side of Sing Double, album track Love Ain't Gone Away For You, and the new track, Say Goodbye, which had a music video featuring the group reflecting on old footage while packing up a house.
Sometimes goodbye, though it hurts in your heart, is the only way for destiny. Sometimes goodbye, though it hurts, is the only way now for you and me. Though it's the hardest thing to say, I miss your love every way. So say goodbye, but don't you cry, 'cause true love never dies. Love ain't gonna wait for you. Your love don't hide. Love ain't gonna wait for you. It's so good, so right. Love ain't gonna wait for you. When it's true. Love ain't gonna wait for you.
The single hit number 2 in the UK, and the greatest hits album Best. The greatest hits of S Club 7 also hit number 2 in the UK after its release in June.
These songs are okay. I guess Love Ain't Gonna Wait For You was, again, a very safe choice from this album. I wonder if that was supposed to be the second single after Alive, or if they were just like, we need something kind of happy, just for this final single to to be a double with Say Goodbye. The video is also kind of a lazy montage as well.
Yeah.
That song's fine, I guess. Any thoughts on your end?
Love Ain't Gonna Wait, real good. It feels good, but it's like nothing I remember. Like, oh wow, it's so memorable. It's not a bad song, but there's safety in a disco track, plain and simple. And then Say Goodbye, that's just like, well, it's our farewell song. We have to do something. Okay, like that's what it felt like, and that's how I'm going to treat it as.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think the melody of Say Goodbye is pretty.
Yeah.
And, all the members get their little moments. I do think the vocal processing and layering for Hannah and Tina's lines are hilarious.
Diabolical.
Like, you can just hear the struggle as they're trying to deliver these lines, because they're like long notes as well.
Yeah.
In a year from I was
it's
like,
diabolical.
yeah,
it's not
like
nice.
this is a struggle. But I will say, I do like the music video for Say Goodbye. I think it's a good kind of split video with them kind of reminiscing on everything. They do show footage of Paul, which I appreciate. They did not try to erase him from their history.
Gosh.
And yeah, the whole kind of packing up their house thing was a good concept for it.
Indeed, I agree. But again, it came and it went, much like how I feel about the whole thing. It's just, it's like a hurry up, wrap it up. Bye-bye.
Yeah. At least they did do a goodbye single, because that's the I hate when groups are just like, all right, it's over, and then it's just like no closure.
I'm crying. You know? Closure's a luxury, ladies and gentlemen.
I appreciate the closure.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That's what I mean. I appreciate the closure.
No, I'm teasing.
Yeah.
But yeah, for fans that don't get it, I'm going to let you know now. There's a couple groups I love so much.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Oh, my God. You've seen Unsung on TV One? You want to talk about no closure? Jesus. Then I found out some of the members died, and I was like, oh, that's why. Okay. I wouldn't want to release this song either.
This is why I'm so excited Girls Aloud are coming back together, because I do not have closure at all from the 10 tour. So yes, this is righting that wrong. But anyway, back to S Club. So in the following years after their split, the members embarked on various solo endeavors. Time to take your lunch break. When we return for part 3, we'll get into the members' solo endeavors and the various reunions the group has had since 2003. See you there.